Coming up here on the Raiders Report, don't sleep on Bilal Nichols. I'm going to tell you 5 reasons why the Raiders defensive tackle is in for a big season. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. It's Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports, and today's show sponsored by Kunzuri. If you haven't already gotten started with our sponsor, what the heck are you waiting for? Head on over to kunzuri.com/chat for height-boosting shoes that look really freaking good. So again, huge shout out to them for sponsoring the Raiders Report. And fellas, have you ever wished you were a little bit taller? Maybe you matched with somebody on Tinder. Hell, I met Alex on Bumble, but her profile says must be over 6 feet. Maybe your date wants to wear heels, but she can't because it will make her taller than you. Well, if I just described you, I have you covered with Kunzuri. Kunzuri makes shoes that make you up to 2.8 inches taller without anyone knowing. Look, girls get heels, makeup, and push-up bras. Why can't we get a boost in confidence too? Kunzuri shoes are not only height boosting, but also stylish and comfortable. They're not grandpa's Velcro shoes, but fashionable shoes that can receive compliments with even out the height increase. The height insoles are integrated into the shoes, making it the ultimate height hack. For a limited time only, our listeners get an extra 15% off your order at kunzuri.com/chat. The site is already 30% off, and with our link, you get an extra 15%. That's 45% off your entire order. Support the Raiders Report and check them out at konzuri.com/chat. Life's short, but hey, you don't have to be. It's time to level up the playing field, guys. Maybe update the dating profile to 6 feet. Kunzuri is an absolute game changer when it comes to your dating life. So I figured, let's make Kunzuri today's sponsor because Bilal Nichols, he's going to change the game this upcoming season for the Raiders. We've been talking about this interior defensive line for a long time, and I'm really hoping that this guy can get it together. He is the undisputed defensive tackle number 1 on this current roster, which, I'm going to be honest, maybe isn't all that great. I have once said on the show that this is arguably one of the worst defensive tackle rooms in the entire NFL. I will admit, I am getting more and more confident about this DT room, and Nichols is definitely one of the biggest reasons why you have to be a little bit more confident. He's going to get the most snaps out of any DT. He's in better shape this upcoming season. The biggest reason is because he's fully healthy. But when you look at this defensive tackle room, he is going to be relied upon because you got a second-year guy in Neil Farrell Jr., a rookie in Byron Young, a rookie in Nesta Jade Silvera. John Jenkins is a vet, not a lock to make the team. Adam Butler, not a lock to make the team, but I do think he ends up making it. And then Matthew Butler, second-year guy, not a lock to make it. Jerry Tillery has had his ups and downs. I know for a fact Patrick Graham is going to look at Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler and say, hey, you guys signed him last offseason. He is supposed to be my top defensive tackle. I need him to be able to step up and show you why that he got paid what he did. So according to PFF last season, he played 804 snaps. He had an overall grade of 55.5, a run defense grade of 48.9, and a pass rushing grade of 66.0. Throughout his career, I would say Bilal has been very average against the run, very average against the pass rush, and I'm still hoping for that big-time breakout season because, let's face it, the Raiders need all the help that they could possibly get on the defense. We need all the possible help that we can get on the interior defensive line. If you don't already know, we're going to be doing an extra live show in the month of July. So we're going to be going live every Tuesday, every Thursday, and every Friday this month. So if you want more news, rumors, analysis, got something special planned for you as well. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. That way you never miss a video that Chugs and I drop here. So remember, you are watching the Raiders Report, and today's show sponsored by Kunzuri. Coming up, I figured, all right, if I'm going to sit up here and say I got a lot of confidence in Bilal Nichols and I'm rocking the Raider Ron jersey, I want to give you the 5 reasons of why I'm confident in him this season. The biggest one, well, he's actually healthy. We talked about something last offseason that the Raiders never even reported, and yeah, we definitely have our sources as well, and I get it. Sometimes people don't want the information out there, and I know Nichols didn't want the info out there, but my job is always keep you guys up to date as much as possible. And when he tore his meniscus last offseason, I was said, are told, hey, don't tell people it's a meniscus, but you can tell people it's a knee injury. And he didn't really get back to full strength, or basically didn't get back to feeling like 100% himself until November. And let's face it, if you injure yourself, it takes you a while to get back into shape. Well, there's a difference between being in shape, being in good shape, and then being in football shape. It doesn't help either when you're trying to learn a brand new system, like he tried to learn with Patrick Graham. It also does not help when you're almost 300 pounds tearing your meniscus. It took him a while to not only learn the system, get back into shape, but then he had to feel like himself. He had to feel confident in that knee again, and that didn't happen until November. So with that being said, what is your confidence level right now in Bilal Nichols for this upcoming season? 1, you're like, dude, he ain't it. I had no confidence in him whatsoever. 10, Aaron Donald, defensive tackle level, right? No. So your confidence level in Nichols for me, it's this. I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to give it a 7. I'm confident in him in terms of the player, in terms of the fitness, defense, and the fact that he now has that extra year. He is fully healthy. He's in, I'm going to roll my eyes because it's July, best shape of his life. We'll end up seeing, but it's also a contract year. He signed a 2-year deal when he originally signed with the Raiders. If he goes out and balls out, we've seen how much money some of these defensive tackles has made, and he knows it's time for him to cash in. Let's go to the next reason here why I'm confident. Year 2 in the Patrick Graham system. I said it in the Nate Hobbs video. I said it in the Divine Diablo segment. I talked about it earlier this offseason with Trevon Merrick. This might shock you, but when you enter another season, when you know exactly the type of defense that you're going to run, or you know what type of practices you're going to see. You're going to know what type of, everything that this regime brings in. All that stuff matters. I mean, think about when you first start out a new job. It's difficult that first 3 months, 6 months. And for a lot of these guys, it takes a little bit of time to get used to all these different systems and all these different implementations. And for Nichols last season, he struggled. But I think, though, after you watch this video, you're going to be a lot more confident. Why? I love watching players when they finish a season strong because it means that they're starting to get it. And if you watched last year, Bilal Nichols from the first, I'd say, from weeks 1 to 10 compared to his final weeks 11 to 18, 2 totally different players. The snaps were pretty close, and in fact, he actually played in more snaps from weeks 1 to 10. But look at the tackle numbers, 16 tackles to 28 tackles. Tackles for loss, 1 to 3. Sacks, 0 to 1.5. QB hits, he did have more from weeks 1 to 10. But overall, just from the production, from the film, everything that you looked at, he looked healthier. He looks like he understood the system better, and I can't wait to see what he does in year 2 in Patrick Graham's system. The next reason coming up here, and this is definitely a big reason that I don't think gets talked about nearly enough, this regime believes in him. And I'm not just talking about McDaniels and Ziegler. Champ Kelly was with the Chicago Bears, the assistant general manager here for the Raiders. Comes on over the silver and black. What was one of the very first moves that the Raiders did? They brought over Bilal Nichols. So when your coaching staff, when your front office believes in you, it means you're going to get a lot of opportunities where, let's face it, if a Malcolm Kuntz, if a Meek Robertson, if they were on the field, I don't think they make the 53, but hear me out here. If they're on the field and this coaching staff's like, I don't have anything tied up to these guys, they don't get that second chance. They definitely don't get that third chance. Nichols, with this defensive tackle room, is going to get a second chance. He's going to get a third chance. Hell, he might even get a 4th, 5th, and a 6th chance because the Raiders need him to be that dude on the interior. Now, before I show you my final reason of why I am confident in Bilal, 4th of July is tomorrow. And I need to know, what is your favorite food to eat during the 4th of July? I asked Chugs this before we started filming the show, and he said there's only 3 answers acceptable. Burgers, hot dogs, and barbecue. I'm not a hot dog fan. So for me, I'm going burgers every single day of the week, though Alex would probably say, Mitch, the correct answer is tacos. But I want to know, what are you eating on 4th of July? The only other correct answer is it's got to be on a grill. Let's go to the final reason here with Bilal Nichols, more help on the defensive line. This kind of ties in a little bit here with the whole Patrick Graham system thing but last season, the Raiders defensive tackle group was arguably the worst in the NFL. Chandler Jones also not very good. I am hoping with the reports that have been coming out that Neil Farrell Jr. plays better in year 2. I'm hoping that Byron Young plays better this upcoming season. Hoping Nesta Jade-Silvera can be a solid run stopper. Adam Butler. All I know is I need the Raiders' defensive tackle room to be better, and I'm going to bet that they are going to be better because of the year 2 and Patrick Graham, because of the defensive line coach, and let's face it, you can't be much worse than what they were last season. Then on top of that, the defensive ends. Crosby's going to be that dude. I would imagine Chandler Jones is going to be better this season, right? Right? Like, he's got to be something. He can't have 4.5 sacks again. And then you got Tyree Wilson. I really expect the Raiders to run a lot of different defensive looks, and there's going to be times where the Raiders line up with 5 guys on that D-line. 2 defensive tackles, Chandler Jones standing next to Tyree Wilson, and then there's going to be Max Crosby on the other side. Because of the extra depth at defensive end and because of Tyree Wilson alone, that's going to take a lot of pressure off the defensive tackles. And then the one coach that I always give praise to, for those of you that have watched the show for a long time, Carmen Bracillo. Carmen Bracillo is one of the best offensive line coaches in the league. Well, guess what? Rob Leonard is also a very highly respected defensive line coach. But guess where he specializes? Defensive tackles. So I do wonder where the Raiders' offensive line in 2020 really struggled. They had Carmen Bracillo. Guess what? The Raiders' offensive line in 2021 was projected to be the 29th best offensive line by PFF. They finished top 12, and by a lot of metrics, top 10. Now you bring in Rob Leonard, who I'm hoping you have a Raiders defensive line room, defensive tackles, and you get that exact same experience. Now, I'm not saying we're going to go from 29 to top 10. If we do, hell yeah, this is finally going to be a top 20 defense. But believe it or not, good coaches can help, especially on your interior defensive line. Now, that's all we got for today's Raiders Report show. If you want to hit me up for more news, I would recommend Twitter at MitchellRenz365. If you got a birthday shout-out or a fun little gift idea, it's Cameo. If you want to see what I'm doing in my own personal life, it's probably just, I don't know, photos and stuff of Chuck at MitchellRenz365. And if you want more live shows, RaidersReport.locals.com. Appreciate it, everyone tuning in to today's show, and I hope everyone has a happy and safe 4th of July.